Welcome to Inbox Intel, your weekly download from the team at Email Expert. Each episode will bring you updates from inside Email Expert HQ, along with the latest headlines, happenings, and hot topics from across the email industry. Expect news, insights, the occasional rumor, and maybe even a little gossip. You'll have to tune in to find out what's in the inbox this week. Let's get started.
Welcome to Inbox Intel, the Real Talk podcast for email pros.
Brought to you by Notebook LLM and the team behind Email Expert.
This is your essential roundup. Yeah, really cutting through the noise. We look at what's actually happening in email marketing, deliverability, infrastructure.
All that stuff. We pull insights from, the latest news, tech shifts, what the community's buzzing about, events.
And give you sharp analysis, honest takes, no fluff.
Exactly. And for this deep dive, we're tackling some pretty significant shifts across the whole email landscape.
Right.
We've been looking at disruptive incidents, big platform policy changes, things that are really changing the game.
And the role of AI that seems to be accelerating in the inbox.
Oh, definitely. And also, the sometimes, let's say, awkward reality of industry collaboration.
Yes, we'll get into that. Plus, and this is really critical, we'll touch on why supporting independent platforms,
like the one bringing you this deep dive right now,
is maybe more vital than ever, for navigating everything that's going on.
It really is about understanding the forces shaping your world. So let's get into it.
Okay, so let's kick off with some turbulence. We've seen some things recently that really underscore maybe the fragility hiding under our email infrastructure.
Yeah.
Incidents really hitting deliverability hard.
Absolutely. And the Rackspace email disruption is, a perfect example.
Right.
We saw reports way back April 11th, 2025, where several Rackspace server IPs got blocked.
By SpamCop and Microsoft, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Caused widespread delivery problems. But what's really concerning
is that it happened again?
It happened again, May 27th. Another round of SpamCop and Microsoft blocks.
Wow. Okay, so happening twice like that, so close together. What does that signal? I mean, is this just a quick fix thing, or is it something deeper?
It really suggests, deeper compliance issues maybe.
Yeah.
Or network hygiene problems that just haven't been fully sorted out by Rackspace. And for you, listening, if you rely on services like this, the key takeaway is the sheer unpredictability. Even big established platforms can have these recurring major reliability issues. And that directly hits your ability to communicate.
Your bottom line, really.
It really highlights that constant need for, vigilance, understanding your provider's actual health.
And it's not just these technical incidents causing disruption, is it? We're seeing massive platforms make policy decisions.
Oh, yeah.
With huge ripple effects, like the Microsoft one hitting the nonprofit sector. That seems enormous.
It is. It's affecting a huge number of organizations. We're talking over 400,000 charities globally.
400,000?
Yeah. There are existing free grants for Microsoft 365 Business Premium, Office 365 E1. They're expiring starting July 1st, 2025, as they come up for renewal.
Okay, so what do they get instead, if anything?
Well, they'll automatically get up to 300 free Microsoft 365 Business Basic seats.
Okay, basic. So that's web and mobile apps.
Right, web mobile plus 1 TB of OneDrive storage. But, and this is the big but,
they lose the desktop apps. Word, Excel, Outlook.
Exactly. Those core desktop applications are gone from the free tier. Plus the advanced device management features.
That's huge. Think about the practical side of that.
I mean, yeah. A small charity, maybe a volunteer manager, they might rely on Intune to secure devices for staff working remotely, or, development teams using desktop Excel for complex grant stuff.
Losing that isn't just inconvenient, it could really disrupt their core work.
Totally. And the cost, it adds up fast. Beyond those 300 free basic seats, getting Business Premium back is £5.50 per user per month annually.
So say an organization has 50 users needing those desktop apps.
You're looking at over £3,000 a year. New unexpected costs.
That's staggering, especially for charities with really tight budgets.
It is.
The key insight here feels like it's about the power imbalance, right, in this digital ecosystem. Vital operations for whole sectors can just be flipped upside down by one sudden policy change from a huge platform.
Yeah, it really underscores the need for, technology diversity, contingency planning, even for tools that seem basic.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of platforms changing direction, didn't we also see Notion acquire Skiff?
We did, and then promptly shut it down.
Right. impacting users who relied on Skiff for email, other things.
Yeah, another disruption. And for those caught out, people often suggest alternatives like Proton Mail or Tutanota, especially if privacy is the main concern.
Okay, so while we're dealing with these external shocks, the inbox itself, it's shifting from the inside out, isn't it? Driven by tech, especially AI.
Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting.
There's this project called Zero. You can find it at zero.email.
Zero.
And it's positioning itself as like an open source AI native email client.
AI native. So built around AI from the start.
Seems like it. Works with Gmail and Outlook, and it's trying to fundamentally rethink the email workflow.
Okay, how? What kind of features are we talking about?
Well, things like AI-powered thread summarization.
Yeah.
To quickly get the gist of long email chains.
That could be useful.
AI-assisted drafting, suggesting replies based on the email's context. Automatic categorization of incoming mail.
And didn't you mention something about an inbox's chat interface?
Yeah, exactly. Trying to make it feel more conversational. It's built on modern stuff. Next.js, React. Backed by Y Combinator.
And it's open source, self-hostable, privacy conscious.
That's the pitch. What's interesting is that AI isn't just like bolted on.
Yeah.
It seems core to how it organizes and presents everything.
So when you say rethinking the workflow, what does that actually feel like for a user? Is it drastically different from, say, using Outlook or Gmail day to day?
Well, I think it leans towards more algorithmic curation.
Okay.
So instead of you manually sorting or just scrolling chronologically, the AI is deciding what's important, summarizing it, presenting it differently.
Mm-hmm.
The insight, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
We could be losing that sort of linear direct control over our own inboxes,
Handing it over to algorithms.
whose choices we might not fully grasp. It raises some pretty deep questions, I think, about digital autonomy, how we interact with arguably our most critical communication channel.
That's a really important point. But, as we integrate AI more deeply into email, we also have to think about the risks, especially security.
Absolutely. And there was a really stark example of that recently, wasn't there? How tricky AI can be in that fight.
Yeah, the anti-phishing AI example, this model looked amazing in testing.
Like way better than what they had running.
10 times better, apparently, on historical data. Tested in a shadow mode, looked great.
So they pushed it live feeling pretty confident.
Totally confident. And it failed, utterly, within an hour.
Wow, okay. Within an hour, what went wrong? How?
Well, the bad actors, they're dynamic, right? They don't stand still.
They adapt.
Instantly. As soon as the new model went live, they changed their tactics. Whatever patterns the AI had learned from that stale historical data
Became useless immediately.
obsolete. Yeah. It just highlights the massive challenge of using AI in security. The model has to learn and adapt in real time, constantly. Otherwise, the attackers are just too agile.
So the insight is clear then. Security AI isn't some magic bullet you just set up and forget.
Not at all. It needs continuous rapid evolution just to keep up.
Right. And speaking of security, authentication is still a bedrock defense, isn't it? We're still seeing progress with DMARC's enforcement.
We are. Microsoft still has changes on the horizon, but Orange and Seznam, they're now explicitly following the lead set by Yahoo and Google.
Okay, and is that having a noticeable impact? Are they seeing similar results to what Google and Yahoo reported?
They are, yeah. Both Orange and Seznam have reported a significant drop in that basic abuse from unauthenticated senders.
So the simple spoofing and stuff.
Pretty much disappeared for domains that aren't authenticating properly.
Yeah.
And in the Czech Republic, where Google and Yahoo's changes really hit hard,
Yeah.
they're seeing nearly 90% DMRC adoption by senders across the country now.
90%. That's a huge progress.
It really is. Senders are basically waiting, anticipating maybe Google and Yahoo moving beyond just a P9 quarantine policy to something stronger.
So the insight there is that when the big mailbox providers enforce authentication,
It works. It drives ecosystem-wide improvements against those fundamental abuse tactics, and that creates a better, healthier environment for everyone who is sending legitimately.
okay, let's maybe switch gears a bit. Moving from the tech and policies to some insights from, the email trenches, strategy, the human side of things.
Right. There's that old saying about deliverability, isn't there?
The one about not sending email.
Yeah, the easiest way to never have a deliverability problem is don't send any email.
Which obviously doesn't make anyone any money.
Exactly. Not a viable business model. But it does get to the core idea that, best practices exist for a reason.
They minimize risk, generally lead to better results over time.
Right. And it's important to kind of separate troubleshooting an immediate acute problem.
Like, help, my IPs are blocked by Spamhouse right now because something specific broke.
Yeah, that versus applying best practices to make a fundamental change in your sending strategy or maybe your platform.
That's a different conversation, isn't it, when you're looking at a strategic shift based on best practices?
It really becomes a risk versus reward discussion.
We can give recommendations, highlight the likely outcomes.
But the crucial insight, I think, is that implementing those big strategic best practices, it's not always a guaranteed instant fix.
Right.
It needs an informed decision from you, the sender, about the risks you're willing to take versus those potential long-term gains.
It's more of a partnership in figuring out the best path forward.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of industry interactions, partnership.
There was an experience shared recently that really highlighted the difference between purely transactional outreach and genuine industry engagement.
Yes, the backlink specialist story.
That's the one. An exchange involving someone focused on SEO, interested in a vendor listing. Started politely enough.
But it was purely about SEO tit for tat.
Yeah.
Entirely. They asked for a free listing, but the expectation was a mandatory link exchange in return.
Okay.
And when they found out that Email Expert actually offers courtesy vendor listings without demanding anything back,
We appreciate mentions, obviously, but don't require them.
their interest just evaporated.
Yeah.
Completely.
Even though they were offered exactly what they initially asked for free listing, a backlink to their site.
But because the forced mutual exchange wasn't part of the deal, the conversation just ended.
Yeah. It really shows that some outreach out there is just about quick transactional SEO points, like a link farm mentality,
Instead of building genuine resources or, fostering actual connections in the industry.
which is what Email Expert aims to do, be a helpful, collaborative resource for the global email community.
So the insight from that, maybe for listeners doing outreach,
Yeah.
try to understand the platform you're contacting. Offer genuine value beyond just a simple trade.
And be gracious, right, even if it doesn't end in a direct quid pro quo.
Absolutely. It's about building an ecosystem together, not just swapping links.
And that whole anecdote, transactional versus genuine connection, it brings us neatly to a really crucial point.
Which is,
Supporting the independent platforms that are actually dedicated to the future of email.
yeah, if you value the kind of vendor-neutral insights, the honest takes, the community resources we talk about in these deep dives.
Then independent platforms like Email Expert are, well, essential, aren't they?
I really are. It's about having a space for that strategic dialogue, for genuine collaboration that isn't just driven by one vendor's agenda.
It really is about, as you said earlier, building it together. And there's actually an opportunity coming up very soon to officially join in, support this work directly.
The full member drive is opening soon.
Yeah.
It's a way to become a more integral part of this community we're building.
And for trusted partners, industry leaders, there's actually a very specific time-limited opportunity available right now.
Yes, the Charter Enterprise membership offer.
This is pretty unique. It's a one-time thing with a strictly limited number of spots.
How limited?
Maximum of 6 to 9. Globally, that's it.
Okay, so very exclusive.
It's a chance to secure some significant permanent benefits for your organization while really cementing your place as a leader who supports the independent email ecosystem.
And what's the investment level for that?
It's $5,950 per year, which is a big discount from the standard £9,450. And crucially,
Yes.
that price is locked in for life for these charter members.
Locked in for life. Okay, that's significant. And the benefits?
They're substantial. Permanent lifetime verified listing on the emailexpert.com directory, prominent recognition across the network through 2025-2026.
Things like event access, too.
Yeah, preferential consideration for the Inbox Council membership, a free vendor booth at the Online Festival of Email, VIP tickets to events, even a free bronze sponsorship for an event, plus all the usual enterprise benefits.
Wow, okay. That's a comprehensive package.
All the details, the full list, payment terms, including split payments, that's possible. It's all on the Email Expert website. Look for Charter Enterprise membership. But remember...
Strictly limited spots. 6 to 9 globally.
Exactly.
And you mentioned the Inbox Council there. Maybe just briefly explain what that is.
Sure. That's really our top-tier membership group. It's for senior leaders from platforms, vendors, service providers.
And the focus is?
Deep strategic dialogue, sharing insights at the highest level, fostering that vendor-neutral collaboration we talked about, all aimed at a healthier, more robust email ecosystem.
So it's a space for leaders to connect, collaborate, and really support the industry's future direction.
Precisely. And as we said, the Charter Enterprise membership gives you preferential consideration for joining that group. It's about being right at the forefront of the conversation.
Got it.
So, wow, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive today.
We really have, from navigating those external disruptions.
Like the Rackspace incidents, the huge impact of platform changes like Microsoft's nonprofit grants.
To understanding the forces shaping the inbox from within, like AI projects such as Zero.
And the ongoing security battles like that AI phishing failure example.
Plus the steady progress from DMARC enforcement.
And then that human element, industry collaboration, telling the difference between genuine engagement and just transactional stuff.
And throughout all that, we've hopefully highlighted the critical role of independent platforms, community resources, like Email Expert.
In providing clarity, fostering genuine connection in this, well, pretty rapidly evolving landscape.
So keep an eye out for that upcoming full member drive.
And maybe consider the Charter Enterprise membership if that fits, as a way to deepen your connection and directly support the work that brings you this kind of vendor-neutral insight.
Okay, so to leave you with something to think about. Given all these rapid technological changes, the policy shifts, and also the challenges of fostering real connection in a world often driven by metrics, what enduring role will independent platforms actually play?
How will they ensure transparency and foster true community in the future of email?
Something to mull over.
Indeed. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive on Inbox Intel.
Brought to you by Notebook LLM and the team behind Email Expert.